Before we get to the process of choosing a consultant and the process of choosing an IT, I'd like to really mention that not applying IFRS 17 can cause the company a lot of harm. I don't know whether the regulator will withdraw the license. There are regulators who will ask a company, they would know beforehand whether they are reaching the compliance or not, and they will give notice to suspend the license of the company. We know for a fact that auditors will qualify the accounts because it does not match the international standards. We know for a fact reinsurers will not negotiate renew your insurance treaties if you are not IFRS 17 compliant. We know rating agencies will have a problem rating you if you don't have the disclosures, because their models now of rating, AM Best models rating, are based on IFRS 17 standard. So this is very, very important to know the implication of not having the standard in place on time. I did mention the importance of the differences between the current situation and the standard. If you notice, the standard encompasses many issues that the current accounting standard does not talk about. So you are talking about a major deviation from the current standard to the second. One is very important issue, which is, although it is in the standard but is not financial, is governance. One of the biggest problem of insurance companies is the structure of the board of directors. In our countries, I consider myself Tanzanian, if you permit me, a member of the board is proud to be a member of the board. If I come and tell you, would you serve on my board? They say, of course, I'm a member of the board of an insurance company. I'm a member of the board of a bank. I'll tell you my experience in London. When the regulator called me up and said, Mr. Mohanna, we do not like the way you run your company. Can you imagine? I own the damn company. The regulator told me, we do not like the way you run the company. We look at the board minutes of the last 5 years. We only saw Mohanna said, Mohanna said, Mohanna said, Mohanna said. This is not a board. All the board members are a bunch of your friends. We want you to appoint 2 independent board members who are UK insurance experts. For me, I said, okay, no problem. The way I appointed my Lebanese friends, I'll appoint. I have many British friends. It took us a year to get appointed, to find people to agree to serve on the board of a solid, financially solid insurance company, but not dealing with drugs or arms or anything. And they all insisted to have DOLI, Director's Office and Liability Insurance, to serve on the board. Here, I assure you, board members, you ask somebody, Mr. XYZ, would you like to serve on the board? Of course, I'll serve on your board. So, the concept of fit and proper, this is a responsibility of the regulator to see who is accepted to serve on the board. We at Mohanna Foundation, we have a course called On the Board, teaching board members to read insurance accounts, teaching board members challenge actuaries on the actuarial valuation. Guess what? Most MDs, most CEOs of insurance company don't want their board to understand. In Tanzania, I was called by the previous MD of NSSF to come and to teach the board of directors of NSSF about how is an actuarial valuation for the Social Security of Tanzania all about. After he left, the second MD wouldn't do that anymore. Luckily now we have 2 MDs that are open-minded and are willing to challenge the board and have the board educated. Anyway, let's talk about what this second section is supposed to be. Evaluation of a consultant. Like any business that you want to buy, you should put a TOR out. Appointing Muhanna or appointing KPMG should not be based on you like us. This is not what you like us. You should put a TOR out and say, I want, this is an expensive exercise. You are talking about $100,000 exercise. This is not a procurement of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And this exercise has a long-term implication. So you should put a proper TOR and you should put this kind of weight. And this is why I said this presentation is going to be given to you for you to know how to go forward, to really to choose your consultant. Your consultant is not the nice, smiley Ibrahim Muhanna. Your consultant should be the guy that is going to be next to you. I may not be the right consultant here. I'm great somewhere else. So you have to make sure, is your consultant with you? In the gap analysis, no big deal. In the design, no big deal. In the implementation, you want your consultant next door. In the implementation, there is hands-on work. Is your consultant going to be able to provide that work? So this is very, very important to really understand, to know who is the ideal consultant for you when you choose a consultant. Now, the bigger investment and the long-term investment is how to buy an IT system. The complexity of the engine is beyond your imagination. Beyond your imagination. Another things you don't know about me, I started the first IT company in the Arab world specialized in insurance. So we had tremendous IT expertise in our group. And we lost a lot of money. And I had to pay penalties to get out of contracts. And finally I closed the company. Because IT system is beyond actuarial mind. We couldn't manage them. We had the ideas that we want to create the right IT system for insurance companies. We almost broke us. We lost over $1 million just starting an IT company. So this is where your IT provider, even if he tells you, oh, I can upgrade the system. If I can upgrade, it means he will not upgrade. Why? Because it took 6-7 years to be IFRS 17 compliant. All these engines that are in the market, they were not born yesterday. And certainly they will be not born tomorrow. You are talking about systems that are already there and have lived the IFRS 17 and up and running many, many cases. Because of that, you have to ask your questions about what kind of system I want to buy. And I tried to do something with the same mind that I have when, as I told you, we own within the group our own rating agency. So in rating, what do? You give scores to the different things and different weights. So what we have done, we said, okay, this is a small list of providers. There are almost like 20 providers in the world. Some of these, the regulator will not accept. The regulator will, in our experience, because we are the advisor of many regulators, some of the regulator will not accept any system that is DB, the database, Excel, or stuff like this, unless it's an integrated system and secure. Some regulator will not accept a system on the cloud, like PwC sells, they are selling system on the cloud. So you can eliminate some of the systems. Some of these systems cost $250,000. Some of the systems cost $100,000 based on the complexity of your insurance company and what the system is supposed to do. So what we have done, we have created certain weights to say what is the system supposed to do and ask certain questions. Like in rating of insurance companies, there are two types of rating. There's something called interactive rating, and there is something called non-interactive rating. Non-interactive rating, you rate a company on their accounts and their reputation. Interactive rating, you rate a company based on meetings with them, knowing what do they do in their marine, what do they do in their motor, who's their reinsurance company and everything. That is interactive. This is why a company that have a rating A interactively from S&P or AM Best, whatever, has more weight than a company rated A non-interactively, but from the same people. Because what they're saying, we think you are A, looking at you from a distance. But we don't know you, but you look good. This is what non-interactive rating. In this type, you should never buy a system based on a brochure. You don't buy a system based on a proposal. You buy a system based on a presentation, live presentation by the provider. They have to make a demonstration for you of their system, and you have to ask questions, and then you are able to see if the system is robust and the system will deliver what promises. So these are the questions we told them. Does the system, and if you notice, very much actuarial, however, there are many questions, accounting and other things. Last but not least, you can buy a system, but you don't have an implementing partner. These systems are engines you can download. When you buy them, you download them. Downloading doesn't mean anything. You have it now. You like it. It does everything. But who is going to import the data from your existing system to this system? This implementing partner is very important. In our case, we had to choose different local implementing partners in every jurisdiction. So what we sell our system in Lebanon, we have an implementing partner in Lebanon. In Jordan, we have an implementing partner in Jordan. I hope we will identify an implementing partner for us in Tanzania. Otherwise, selling the system doesn't do anything. So this is where I would like to leave you with, and I would like to thank you for today. And if you allow me, we'd love to have you for lunch, everybody, and if you don't, we'll understand. That is the last notice. On your behalf, I'd like to thank the commissioner for staying all the session, although initially he told me I'll come only for the opening, and I thank you very much. You seldom. This is really a vote of commitment by the regulator saying, I want to see this IFRS 17 up and running. And if you have a couple closing remarks, Dr. Jum'a, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhana. Thank you very much, KPMG team. Thank you very much, participants, for grasping the good news or the good information for your implementation. It is the duty now of the regulator. You will meet him soon in your companies during the inspection. Probably you will be asked maybe to show the extent, the phase or the stage where you are towards IFRS 17. And probably you will be asked which stage you are, especially whether stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3. And probably you are consultant, and we'll be looking at the checklist or the requirement whether that consultant meets the requirement, so that when you start implementing, we are sure that you will be in a better position. It is our duty, the regulator, the participants, or the market players, to make sure that insurance business is sustainable. Obviously, this standard is helping you, insurance companies, to make sure that your sustainability is there for years. So it is costly, I understand, and some are likely to say like bringing some cost, but all in all, it has a good intention for you to make sure that you do a better business. And for us as regulators, we're happy that this system will help us to see all the information which in some cases we were hiding, So it's a bit of high transparency, so we can see everything. And for us, it is good news that we can see every business which you are doing for regulatory purposes and for proper and clear estimation of the contribution of the insurance sector in our economy. So I argue not just to appoint Muhana to be your consultant, but to go through those requirements when choosing the consultant and to see whether Muhana fits well in those requirements or someone else. But take into account that you need someone who has international exposure, who has experience in other markets. That will help you to make sure that you start well and you sustain for many years. Once again, thank you very much, Muhana, for organizing this event. And again, not only organizing, but also sponsoring the event. And thank you, participants, for coming. We expected CEOs and CFOs, but probably they didn't make it, some because of some inconveniences and because of some other prearranged meetings. So thank you very much, Muhana.
Thank you. Somebody had their hand.
So I was wondering, I don't know if my question can be addressed to you or it will be, assuming everything goes right, maybe 2022 will be running parallel, IFRS17 and IFRS4. So at what stage do we should start engaging stakeholders like TRA, TIRA, so that we all understand, because it's a new standard and a lot of disclosure. So because we find like TRA here, they tend to continue learning about your financials, especially when they want to assess tax. So I'm looking at TRA to be brought in board early so that they understand if there are any changes. They should not come and like say, no, now we have started hiding profit, or they used to assess as even some of the items which we are telling them maybe these are any premium, don't add this. So I was looking at maybe TIRA can help us engage TRA, especially the large tax department, like taxpayers, and also understanding the implementation journey, so that they are not surprised when they come in 2023 and they find maybe this item was moved, this item is here. They start saying new insurance were hiding profit again. So that's number one. And number two, I'm like asking the regulator, thank you, said that you will start coming for inspection, but I was rather looking at TIRA also to be also implementing partners instead of coming and inspect us and saying, oh, we haven't appointed the consultant, we have not done that. Can we also get guidelines on how we should do, and are we expecting change of rates, those TIRA returns, and when are we going to get them, so that when we're implementing, when we're changing our system, we should also have, our IT system, our guys or consultants designing those reports so that they also, some they are automated or semi-automated. So I'm also looking at TIRA, if we can also partner with the actual department. So is there any plan maybe that the commissioner can say? So we should look at the way we are saying maybe external auditor. They can be our partner, not like we're using it, but they come and say, are you doing the right way? So I was looking at, we should have all the stakeholders, we are working hand to hand, saying that I'm sure you're doing the right way. Instead of maybe they come and then say, no, we didn't want this. This is not the way it is. So that's what I was I'm asking if maybe TIRA can help us reach the TRA, auditors can help us reach to the National Board of Accountants and Auditors, so that we, insurance in Tanzania, we are very small in terms of even capacity. So we should not be left alone and just come and be hammered at the end. So I was looking at if this can be a collaboration like that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your comments, your concerns, your questions. Obviously, in this project, TILA is a leading partner. So we're going to give out the plan or the schedule, and we'll involve all the stakeholders. So it will be like, during this period of time, make sure that this stage is completed, and we provide the details. What are you supposed to do to accomplish this stage? And all those involving partners will be also informed so that we work together to accomplish that stage. So there are certain stages where TRA will be involved, the tax department or whatever, and others, so that holistically the market is ready at each stage. Everyone is aware that now we're moving from this stage to another. Of course, some companies are likely to be ahead of others, but we acknowledge those who are ahead, but those who are not, at least by specific dates, everyone should be there. So we'll be moving that way, collaboratively, all stakeholders in the market, so that we are ready at that particular time. Because if any company by the starting date is not ready, there is no way we can do business. That's the fact. So it is an inevitable project. You have to do it. And that's why I say there are cost implications. Probably some small companies are likely to find it difficult, but some are likely to come up with some decision of merging, probably. Merging 2 or 3 companies, they come up with one so that they can do better. So that's how we are planning. So we send out the plan, and therefore each company will be engaging their consultants, but the regulator will be monitoring and looking at the progress of each company, and will be setting some dates. By this date, make sure that if you are not ready, by that date you should be there. If someone is ahead, then that's well and good. So that's what I can say for now. But we'll be working together to make sure that the market is ready by that day. Thank you very much.
I'd like to mention here, although this subject was not raised or discussed with KPMG before, but I can I can speak on behalf of KPMG clearly. Every consulting work is a business. Whether you with KPMG, you with PwC, you with us, that's a business. Anything for the public good, I assure you, I can impose requests from KPMG that we can do training free of charge. This is for the public good. But one-on-one, that is a consulting. One-on-one is consulting. We have a commitment to the actuarial profession as Muhanna Foundation. So I will be eager and working very hard to try to figure out the actuaries from all insurance companies, student actuaries, and hold seminars for them free of charge. Because we believe the profession should develop. However, any company needs training internally for their actuaries and their non-actuaries and their IT. We have programs to do that. That's consulting. Okay? So, and I believe whenever we do something for a free or for minimal cost, KPMG and us will not charge you, we'll do for the public. Sylvia? Sylvia will fly and she likes Tanzania.
Maybe I can mention that KPMG are having a training on Wednesday, and the invites might be sent a bit later. And they're hoping to go into more technical details of the standard, work with actual numbers. So it would be good if you can send either in-house actuaries, your CFOs, and even the CEOs who can wear the technical hat, because we want to go into very nitty-gritty detail of the standards, just to emphasize the fact that at this stage, no one will be an early implementer we're literally running out of time for all these processes to be done. So you're very welcome, and you get invites.
Can I have one observation? Is the auditor, let's say you have 2020, 2019 results. Is it possible for you, on basis of certain assumptions, to work out what it would look out in if we had implemented IFRS 17? I'm just saying from the senses that many of my CEOs and colleagues will be able to better understand it if the same balance sheet which has already been presented, how would it look when IFRS 17 stands implemented? You know, it gives a very, from an abstract, it gives a very concrete flow that what changed and how it will reflect.
This is the purpose of the gap analysis and directly thereafter the financial impact. This is, you cannot today, nobody today, I mean, it would have been nice if you look at the accounts and put a small formula and come up with the results. The gap analysis will analyze your book of business, will look at your accounts, will look at your IT, all of this stuff, and will tell you the impact. This is why it's called the impact, financial impact. Will tell you the impact of implementing IFRS 17. As I mentioned earlier this morning, some companies will come and find out they will not be able to implement, they will not be able to comply, they will not be able to raise the funds. And they will stop the process and they will find a way exit of the market or to merge. IFRS 17 is an opportunity to review your position for the future.